When I saw Nicki offer up her husband to fight an NFL player, do you think she consulted with her husband before that?
You do when you pick it. You separate that.
Yeah, I can see.
A new week, a new Nicki Minaj Twitter rant. This week was the weird battle between her and American football player Des Bryant, stemming from Minaj inserting herself into any and every story that brings bad press to Roc Nation founder Jay-Z and CEO Desiree Perez. 2 weeks earlier, her Twitter fingers were aimed at record label TDE and its artist SZA, with accusations from Minaj that had no real evidence other than misleading screenshots from Twitter barbs. While it's easy to lump Minaj's alarming online behavior to the standard insults her detractors spew, such as she's old and bitter, this is karma for Little Kim, or the new one, she's going broke, today's writing seeks to explore Nicki Minaj's current standing in the culture through the additional lens of misogynoir and how a victim turns abuser.
Their faces might suggest these music stars are promoting a humanitarian cause, but Jay-Z is pushing a cause of a different kind.
When you really, really, really dig down into it, Nicki be like sweating Jay in a different type of way. Like low-key, she be like low-key on his like.
Tidal, a new music streaming service launched by the hip-hop mogul, now counts Madonna, Alicia Keys, and other music stars as its co-owners.
I'm Sayou Cooper, and this is The Griot, reporting on hip-hop culture through a mix of soapbox editorials, weird commercial breaks, and some very serious guests.
Jay-Z, hip-hop artist, he has a history of giving back to the Marcy homes. That was the housing development in New York where he grew up. He's mentioned many, many times. But this year, he's launching a different kind of initiative towards helping out the groups of folks that are there. It's called Bitcoin Academy for the residents of Marcy homes.
Yeah, we're not gonna stop. You know, the hip hop is young. We still growing, and we're not falling for that technology, whatever, you know, this public puts out there. Now that, you know, before was the American dream. Pull yourself out of bootstraps and you can make it in America. All these lies that America told us our whole life. And then when we start getting it, they try to lock us out of it. They start inventing words like, you know, capitalist and, you know, things like that.
Of course, the job of the system, the job of the enemy is to confuse you and to let you think that your interest and your history is the same as that of your oppressor. As a matter of fact, the job of the master is to convince the slave that the master is really concerned about the interests of the slave. And if the master doesn't do well, the slave will be in trouble.
Here's some details of this initiative he's working on. This program aims to provide education, empower the community with knowledge, and get rid of some of the barriers so that residents can learn more about Bitcoin specifically and finance in general.
Those words y'all come up with, y'all got to come up with stronger words. When I say y'all, I'm not talking about you. The words they come up with, they got to come up with stronger words. We're not going to stop. We're not going to be tricked out of our position. Y'all locked us out. Y'all created a system that, you know, doesn't include us.
Nonetheless, many of these people that are living in these homes aren't really very happy about this or think that this is the best approach. It's kind of late to be doing that when people are trying to hold on to their dollars and everything is so expensive. People don't want to be investing money knowing that they might have a chance of losing it. So one resident did also say.
Pink Friday 2, the fifth studio album from Queens rapper Nicki Minaj, begins with a sample track of Billie Eilish's When the Party's Over. The intro track, Are You Gone Already, was dedicated to her late father, Robert Mirage, who was killed in a hit-and-run car accident in 2021. In the rollout for the album, Minaj shared on X, formerly Twitter, the verses took longer than usual to write. It's an intimate look at Minaj's handling of grief that also softens the image of a former abuser. The abuser, her father, whom she has stated was violent physically and emotionally. All of my young and teenage early years, we lived in fear that my mother would be killed by my father. It was ridiculous. It was very tough emotionally for me to have a parent who was an alcoholic and a drug addict. My father was violent physically and verbally. When I first came to America, I would go in my room and kneel down at the foot of my bed and pray that God would make me rich so I could take care of my mother. Because I always felt like if I took care of my mother wouldn't have to stay with my father. And he was the one at the time that was bringing us pain. We didn't want him around at all. And so I always felt like being rich would cure everything. And that was always what drove me. Robert Mirage was no longer an addict or abuser according to Minaj by the time of his death, But the romanticized version of their relationship in Are You Gone Already, that deliberately leaves out any mentions of his past abuse, points to bigger themes of Minaj's sheltering and revisionist history of problematic men in her life. The newest abuser is her husband, Kenneth Petty. In 1995, he was convicted of the attempted rape of Jennifer Hugh, and in 2006, the manslaughter death of Lamont Robinson. In 2021, Jennifer Hugh filed a lawsuit accusing the couple of harassment, intimidation, and other horrible things. Minaj has been voluntarily dropped from the lawsuit by Hugh's legal team, but the lawsuit is still pending with Kenneth Petty. Since the beginning of their relationship, Minaj has been in denial of his crimes and has used multiple weak and nonsensical excuses to defend his actions.
What the hell is wrong with you people? Every famous nigga that gets arrested is not Nelson Mandela? Yes, the government conspires to put a lot of innocent black men in jail on fallacious charges. But R. Kelly is not one of those men.
From the outside looking in, it's really hard to imagine what exactly Minaj sees in Petty, other than he knew her before she was famous and their meetup years later was somehow faded. Her biggest career lows have happened during this relationship, and most of her bad press leads back to him. For example, him ruining her terrific 2023 VMAs hosting gig by threatening Cardi B and Offset on camera, or the infamous His Big Foot saga that saw her spiraling on social media for days because of one diss line directed at him from Megan Thee Stallion. Nicki Minaj pretends she doesn't care about what the public thinks about him, but clearly she does. And while no one knows what goes on behind closed doors, nothing about their marriage seems alluring. He's joined a few station head chats with her, and she's briefly touched about his possessiveness and jealousy on the Let Me Calm Down track from Pink Friday 2. The relationship's possible end seems unlikely for now. Minaj has a track record of unwavering loyalty to men who wouldn't do the same for her, and why would Kenneth Petty leave? He's gone from a poor convicted felon to the unemployed husband of a multimillionaire. And that's not to shame felons or people who spent time in the prison industrial complex, but Kenneth Petty has made no steps towards restorative justice. The marriage has become Minaj's Achilles heel and symbolizes the irony in her hip-hop feminism. A woman so talented that she did the impossible in the all-boys club of hip-hop, but still a servant to men and their validation.
I'll tell you this, I have no idea about their business, but if someone owed me $200 million, then I would be in court, not on X, and I guarantee you if she ever took that to court, that would be a huge story.
Have there been times when you think you've been guilty of being a diva, of being a pain in the ass? Do you think you're tough?
Is Lil Wayne tough?
Before I get to the real hip-hop of the day, because I see the real hip-hop heads sprinkled in here. I see them. I know there's some chicks here waiting to sing Starships later. I'm not talking to y'all right now. That bullshit.
When I was doing this, I took a lot from people, from men, who didn't want me to realize my own worth, who didn't want me to know the truth about like who I was and how good I was.
I blame Rock Nation. You've probably seen some version of this inside joke on Black Twitter, a meme originally created from the 2022 Tory Lanez trial, in which Lanez, and namely his father, blamed the full-service entertainment company for the rapper's arrest and conviction in the firearm assault of Megan Thee Stallion. Leaning on the misogynoid structure of hip-hop and the rise of misinformation in the American public, which included feeding distorted information to Instagram and Twitter-based gossip blogs or media personalities. But what once was jokes and a good way to point out the clear lies in Tory Lanez's defense has turned into complete absolution of Rock Nation and Jay-Z's questionable business practices. Practices that Nicki Minaj desperately wants you to know about and to be as enraged. The thing is, she's the wrong messenger and pursuing this war with Rock Nation, disoriented, paranoid, and uneasy.
When you're a woman that embraces sexuality, people feel like, why do you matter? You're a f***ing slut anyway. A lot of women who go through things and they feel like nobody will believe them.
Britney also, for the first time, speaks out about what led up to her infamous psychiatric hold in 2008.
These words are hard to write in light of the angry black woman stereotype, but Minaj's behavior over the past few months portrays someone not mentally okay. To clarify, she's not crazy because her allegations against Rock Nation are plausible. Not the 100 to 200 million Jay-Z apparently owes her, but the other stuff, yes. Nessa Diab, radio and TV personality and the wife of Colin Kaepernick, corroborated Minaj's defamation claims. She tweeted, "At Nicki Minaj exposing the smear campaign tactics that Jay-Z, Roc Nation, Desiree Perez did to her behind the scenes is very similar to what I was told they did at Kaepernick 7. When Jay purposely co-opted Colin's protest by siding with the NFL to help their image after they blackballed Colin for his protests, I called them out years ago, and so many people were scared to say it publicly, but would tell me how they agree with me privately. SMH. Roc Nation apparently took $5 million a year over 5 years to bury the growing protests, and specifically helped them move behind the controversy around teams' unwillingness to sign Kaepernick. Desiree even said, "We love that everybody wants to be on the stage, that we've completely changed the conversation to fighting for it versus boycotting. We've come a long way." She got her pardon by Trump. No coincidence, the NFL owners are his buddies and also donated millions to his campaign. I still don't watch that league or whoever is performing or whatever game they have playing. Podcaster Van Lathan, who worked as a producer for TMZ, stated on camera he knew for sure Roc Nation seeded negative stories about Colin Kaepernick. With this information, it's not hard to believe Roc Nation, Megan Thee Stallion's management team, might have been feeling more negative press in the his Bigfoot incident.
I want to give a round of applause to Desiree Perez.
Roc Nation's CEO and co-founder Desiree Perez is also a fascinating character in all of this drama. According to Minaj, Desiree Perez is the main factor in her tensions with Roc Nation. You see her in the background of Megan Thee Stallion's public appearances, almost like a handler. In 2021, she received a full pardon by Donald Trump for a 1995 conviction, conspiracy to distribute narcotics. Knowing Trump's love of quid pro quo, the speculations are rightfully ripe as to how Perez secured a pardon. Recently, Perez's daughter, Damori Hadley, filed a lawsuit against her mother for using unlawful means to have Damori falsely detained under Florida's Baker Act and Marchman Act, unlawful means that involve unauthorized surveillance and the help of Roc Nation staff. The general public tends to look at Nicki Minaj's beef with other femme rappers as deeply personal fallouts, but it's always been about the business of hip-hop to Minaj, particularly making sure no one is profiting off her music, brand, and likeness more than her. Since the arrival of Cardi B in 2017, and maybe even Remy Ma either, music executives have been propping up the supposed Nicki Minaj replacement in hopes of getting a piece of that financial pie. These labels don't care about women in hip-hop, they care about how much these artists can bring in. Megan Thee Stallion is the current Roc Nation darling, but so was Meek Mill years ago. Reporting from the east coast of the American Empire, I'm Sayou Cooper, and this is The Griots. I wrote and produced this episode. Our theme song for this season is ggas by Suzuki-san. Our Instagram and other cool stuff can be found on our website. Links are always in the description. Thank you to the ancestors. Until next time.